Hello, the game has started. It's me to go first. I've got an unbalanced track with duplicates and non-bingo-y tiles. So what's the best way of sorting this out? It's certainly too good to change. I could play half for 20, and that's not a bad rack lead. The vowels help the H. I'm going with this. A little better. Not quite so vowel heavy. Not seeing a 7-letter bingo here, and the floaters aren't particularly bingo-y. Wow, 43 points for opponent. Good start for them. Now, I don't have an I for going next to the Q. I do have a C for going above the H. So I could play Yetch for 32. Quite a good rack leave. Just wondering if there's a way of making a better play in this spot. Maybe a play which ended CHY. But I'm not seeing such a play. Yetch is providing scoring opportunities both above it and through the H. But my priority is to sort this rack out, and this does achieve that. I'm going with this. Well, that does look pretty bingo-y, but I'm not seeing a 7. Can't see anything with the F or the Y, and I've got no scoring tiles. What I do have, however, is an I for going next to the Q, so I could play geoid, which would sort the rack out quite nicely. Although these are bingo-y tiles, there isn't any particular 5 or 4-letter set of them that I'd really like to keep hold of. Now, what about row I? I guess geoid could also play there. That has been blocked. Great, just 30 points for opponent. Now Yug is good, so I could play ogled for 37 points, which is a decent score. 28 for geoid in column 11. However, this is keeping 2 vowels, whereas geoid retained a vowel and a consonant. Having said that, ogled provides pretty much nothing, and geoid did provide scoring opportunities for opponent. So can I do better than ogled in this spot? I could play gleed, but that isn't a better rack leave. I'm going with this, and I note I'm setting up a massive Z spot for ZE, but I'm still going with this. And part of the reason was that I retained an I for QI, and if opponent hasn't got the Z, well, he may place a vowel in front of CHE, and that would extinguish that threat. I lead by 16. So I could play poi in column 11. 28 for opponent. The trouble with poi is that it keeps 3 vowels. So can I do something better? I could play just double O here for 17 points. And this isn't a terrible rack leave. Just trying to see if I can find a way of completely balancing this rack leave. But nothing has come to mind. Do I have anything down from the J? I don't think so. Or across row K. T goes after 2. No, I'm just not seeing anything which totally sorts the rack out, and as I say, this rack leave isn't terrible, although it is vulnerable to drawing another eye. Wow, that was quite nice, picking up 2 consonants. My initial enthusiasm is slightly dampened because I can't see a 7-letter bingo here. There could be one, but I'm not seeing it. I would have Intrepid onto a D. Does this V assist? Wow, nice score for opponent. So the V is available, but I'm not seeing anything through that. What about the F? No, not seeing anything there. And that's pretty much it for floaters. So, what to do? Well, I'm immediately drawn to column 11 because of my I and limited other opportunities. I do not have a vowel for going underneath the J. So I could play pin, keeping a very good 4-letter set. 23 points, an okay score. And I do trail, and this does open up a bingo lane, so I'm going with this. I have retitle, tour not good, and that doesn't play in column 12. Pin only takes an S in front. Can't see anything down from the F. Can't see anything through the V. Does retitle have an anagram? 17 for opponent. No opportunity for retitle. Now, does Bosch take an R? It doesn't, otherwise retitle would play because Haid is good. I'm not seeing an anagram. There could be one. So, what to do here? All 1-point tiles on my rack. Slightly reluctant to trash the rack. I could play Trez for 26, keeping an okay 4-letter set and creating new bingo lanes. And 26 points, quite a good score when you've only got 1-point tiles. Well, the 3 S's and 2 blanks still elude me. This looks a balanced 7-letter set. Do I have a bingo here? To an A, I would have amuletic. Wow, nice bingo for opponent. And he only provides a couple of floaters, and they don't look massively helpful. I'm just wondering about how to spell lutetium. I would need a U for that, and none is available. The V doesn't assist. What about T and R? I've got the multi-prefix with CE. Not seeing anything with the T or the R. So I'm not in great shape here. I'm over 100 points behind. So what to do about it? I guess I'm looking to play off the U and probably the M. But is there a decent score available? Jewel is the best I can see, burning the U with the J. I could play Emu, burning the E as well. for 18 points. 12 minutes on my clock. Row L, quite a nice bingo lane for bingos beginning with a vowel. So what about burning the C and the U? Just wondering if I have something through the I, getting my C or M doubled, and I'm looking to play off both the C and the M and the U, just to try and get my score up. Well, this is a tricky position. I'm just not seeing anywhere at all. And I'd like to keep bingo lanes open on this board. Still a lot of E's to come, and I am presenting an E out in the open, so it isn't completely lost to me, and this is creating new bingo lanes. And this is the right amount of vowel consonant balance, and there are 3 floating vowels on the board. I could play emic, keeping lute for 6 more points. I'm going with this. I have stencil, and hads is good, so that plays in row J. That still plays fantastic, back in the game. Clients is its anagram. Is there a better spot? Stencil is pretty much face value. 10 minutes on my clock. What about a play through the I? No, not seeing anything there. Stencil only plays with had. What about the A? Canistel, no anagram of that. Can't see anything with the D or the Y. What about a play beginning UN? What about a play ending E? Or going through the E? Well, I think there is one with the E. But it's not coming to mind. So I think I will get stencil down for 69. Horrendous, absolutely horrendous. WW and U, just when I'd caught my way back to within 50. Still a blank to come. And quite a lot of vowels. So I'm looking to play off 2 out of UWW, because there aren't many ways of playing off all 3. So is there anywhere for WAUR? And there is, column 2. Great, and that will act as a distraction for opponent. Do I have a second spot? Not sure I do. Do I have something through the V? No. Now, WAW is also worth considering. Great, opponent does have vowels and slows down. Yeah, so as I was mentioning, WAW would be an alternative for war. But I'm not seeing anywhere for that. This is 22 points, quite a grim score, but an okay rack leave. The main danger of this is that it pretty much gifts opponent a 30 odd point play with very low scoring tiles, but it's keeping the bingo lanes available. 8 minutes on my clock. Just pausing. I don't feel this is optimal, but nothing better has come to mind. Zim takes an I for future reference. I don't have one. Still 4 to come. I'm going with this. Not good. Not a good pickup. I'm going to struggle to sort out the duplicates and jettison the W. And this isn't a particularly W-friendly board. I could play OW in the top left if opponent doesn't go there. And he doesn't. Great bingo for opponent, 65 points. And a natural, so the blank is still out there. And maybe on opponent's rack. So let me check the vowel situation. 7 out of 20, so it's now vowel dry. Opponent's burned quite a lot in his last few moves. So I'm thinking about playing O for 36. And there are 3 ends to come, plus there's a blank to come, so quite tempting to play off the end for an extra 6 points. And I think I will. Can I do any better than this? 42 points is a decent score from this rack, and I'm not blocking bingo lanes, apart from 9-letter lanes. I'm going with this. I do draw an N, and the rest of the tiles are pretty bingo-y. It's just, I don't think there is a bingo here. So the lanes are row L ending in D. Opponent's not created a new one. He's taken out the I and the V. 6 tiles to come. I'm 90 odd points behind. Row L is a pair of bingo lanes beginning underneath the T or underneath tool and ending in D. So I could do with creating a new lane up the top, at the top. And I'm just wondering if I've got a 4-letter play ending in I. I thought Inia may have been my play, but it's not. And that ends in an A. I think I do need to create something at the top. I could play Inia and Id, and that might be worth doing, because this is a bingo lane, just, with a massive overlap. It's likely to distract opponent, which is good. If he's got the X, he could play EX and it's probably game over. But there are 6 tiles in the bag. And if he doesn't have the X, I don't think he can score massively at the top. So that's one way of thinking. Only 11 points, 5 minutes on my clock. Do I have an alternative? And one alternative would be to play down beside Archified to create a bingo lane in row O or N, leaving the bingo lane under the T of Tolt alone. So what I could do here is Norai, which takes an A. Only 13 points, only one A to come. Doesn't provide a big X spot. 5 vowels left out of 13 tiles, so I think this is too bad a rack leave. If I play off just OI, I am leaving a very good rack leave. So why don't I do this? OI for 9. This is a much more available bingo lane. I've just thought of something else. What about Neoi for 23? The downside of this is I'm not creating a bingo lane. However, given that I'm 90 points behind, The danger of doing something for about 10 points and giving away 30 is that a bingo won't be enough. There is a danger of opponent sticking his X next to the O, but that could be an opportunity for a 70-point play if I draw the X. I'm going with this. Well, that's not a great pickup. Just 2 tiles in the bag. I don't have the blank, and I don't have a bingo. Just wondering about the D, but not seeing anything onto that. So maybe OI would have been the play. Difficult to know. Yes, 74 points for opponent burns the X and the blank. So I think whatever I would have done, I was going to be losing. So no tiles in the bag. I can see what opponent's got. I don't think he can go out in 1, which means I should be aiming to go out in 2. 3 minutes on my clock. So where to play? Well, I can see braid. That's a possibility. I could play TWE, keeping double R. Do I have 2 spots for double R? Well, there's ERR. And I'm not sure there's a second, so maybe this isn't the play. Let me put this back. I've still got 2 minutes. So what about braid? 16 points. Opponent's got Geep as 4 tiles on his rack, but he can't play that underneath braid. Do I have 2 outs for Ire? Well, I have Lyra and have Ire at the bottom, so I can certainly go out in 2 with this. But can I do better? Can't see anything great beginning here, just Abri, same tiles for only 16 points. Can't see anything else apart from TBE, down from the T of stencil. Not seeing anything much bottom left. What about using the K? So I could play Bikey, keeping ARR, 24 points. That's no use to opponent, it's no use to me either. And I can't see a couple of outs there, so I'm inclined to play braid. It does guarantee me an out next turn. So where's the best I can do? I've got Rive in column 1, 40 seconds on my clock. Can't see anything through the C and the B. Just wondering about Reich. I'm not sure about this. It's not. So 7 for Rive. 13 for Ire. Can I do any better? No, I don't think so. And the final score, 362 for me, 486 for my opponent, a winning margin of 124 points. So well done to my opponent. Let's see what I missed. Well, quite an emphatic victory. Now, it was me to go first, and I played half, and I like that. Great start for opponent, burns the queue for 40 points, and retains the blank and sorts out his duplicate eye. My rack, and well, I play Yetch, but Echoey was available at G2, which would have been nice, and 3 more points. And hey, I7, yeah, that would have been the play. I think 40 points and a decent rack lead. Opponent's rack. No bingo here, plays Vatu. And I think this is one of the most bingo-y racks I had, so I was slightly hesitant, waiting to see a missed bingo pop up. So I play ogled here, and I could have played OG'd in the same spot, which would have been a better rack leave. But nothing else, obviously, superior. Opponent plays Joe. Now, Topoi, that's quite nice. B11 and Chi. So I play Oo at this spot. I was slightly worried about my opponent having the Z, which indeed he did have. And Oo for 17 is not bad. It's 8 points worse than Topoi, but is the rack leave of EIIPT 8 points better than EI? I would say it is. I would say EI is probably maybe -2. And EIIPT maybe about 6 or 7 points, so I think they're fairly close, but I think this Z hotspot tips my preference to Oo. Opponent's rack plays Zimb. Wow. Again, I was expecting a missed bingo to pop up. So I played Pin at this point for 23, and I could have played Prize for 32. So what was the rack leave after Pin? Tier. So how does Tier compare to Int? I think Tier is better, but I don't think it is 9 points better. But it is better, so I don't think there's a huge difference between those plays. Maybe there's 5 points difference between, maybe 3 or 4 points difference between those rack leaves. Now, opponent's rack plays Tolt. And I have no bingo. I played Trez for 26, and that's fine. Great rack for opponent. Plays Vitesse. And I trail by 100. And this was a rack I struggled with a lot. And I went with Emu in the end. I thought about Emic. Cilium, C9. Yeah, I think that's a play I would have made if I'd seen it. Getting rid of the C, M and U, and a decent score. But I play Emu, which was not as good, but does have some merit. Opponent's rack plays Toady, and now finally I do have a bingo. G14. Centiles through the E, getting doubled, that's nice. And my play of Stencil was just 5 points behind. Cut lines and line cuts and tunicles, all available through the U for a lower score. Now opponent, plagued by vowels, plays O. And just as I thought I had gotten back into the game with Stencil, I draw this rack, so I'm a bingo behind and I'm not in great shape. I play War for 22, and look at that, both of the moves which are higher up retain 2 out of UWW, and I really did want to get rid of both of them. So, for example, this rack leave of ORW, I would say is definitely 8 points better than UW. UW must be worth around -10, I think. ROW, well, that's going to be worth -2 or 3. So they could actually be quite close, in which case I prefer War. In other words, I prefer the move with the better rack leave. So I trail by 50. Opponent's rack. And he has Argified, which is a fantastic spot, a very difficult one to see. And that really, I think, propelled him to victory. He must be a massive favourite now, especially with this rack. So I play Own for 42. Opponent is 70 points in front, but he's got no vowels. He plays Drink, and I have a lot of vowels, and there are only 6 tiles in the bag. B11 Avion. That is pretty good. That is pretty good. It opens up a really hot lane in row A, a bingo lane. And it also leaves a decent rack leave, and the score is good. So I think that would have been the play. And then Naoi was my choice, which wasn't as good and was punished with this. The links for 74. So I trail by 150, the bag is empty, and this is my rack. No bingo here. I thought about Tibie. I didn't see Turbia, and that may have been the play. I suspect there were a couple of spots for IR. So I play Braid. Opponent plays Epee. M5, yep. And that's how I went out for 13. So, what a game. Really big score by opponent and a big spread, over 100 points. I was a long way behind fairly early on, and I caught up somewhat in the middle of the game, but then faced some heavy weather in my final rack, so I didn't really get a chance to breathe down my opponent's neck as we were moving into the end game. But in any event, quite a number of interesting racks to consider. So I hope you enjoyed watching that game, and I will see you next time.